I think people that are saying that this we're already back in a rally and moving forward, I think are way premature.
I mean, it took 8 years to get to this point, but part of getting out of it, though, has to do with people feeling confident, and part of that is a esoteric, subjective, good feeling. And so, I mean, that's why Tim Geithner has such a hard job, because if he actually went out there and told the truth, there'd be a run on banks and everything would collapse. He's got to put the best foot forward on it, you know, like Kevin Bacon did in Animal House when he was being run over saying, all is well, all is well. I mean, it's, you know, it's a tough job. And he's probably a brilliant manager of the Treasury, but I don't think he's the greatest liar, which is why he's having
No,
problems.
he's certainly not a great communicator. When you
Yeah.
watch him for any length of time, he says absolutely nothing that makes sense. And you wonder about the money and the programs, and which ones and when are they going to become what you'd say successful. So far, you know, they say there's some of the banks, for example, some of the bigger banks are turning the money back. Chrysler and GM were given additional billions just today, I think. And Chrysler's talking about not taking the money, or
Because of the limits on executive pay.
exactly. What about that?
Please.
Can you imagine that? And it comes out of the financial institution that was really throwing money in and out for Chrysler. They're the ones that don't want any government money because their compensation packages, they want them the way they have them.
My heart bleeds for them.
Yeah, the ownership of Chrysler is basically a hedge fund. It's not a typical business corporation.
Why did
But
Fiat
Ford
say
Ford
no?
hasn't taken any money, and Ford seems to
Ford's
be
interesting
operating.
because one country that they're
European
buying,
Ford sales are holding them up.
one country that they're buying a lot of cars in now, continues the big car, is in Japan, and they're, as in Europe, the Ford is selling a lot of cars
Ford
in
is
Japan.
manufacturing a lot of cars in Europe, and I don't presume to understand this, but a lot of the cars they're manufacturing in Europe, they cannot, for some reason, manufacture in this country. And they're small cars with high mileage rate, and they sell apparently like hotcakes. And apparently they're not even allowed to use them in their CAFE standard computations, which would obviously raise their ability to do that. But
Because of the emission standards and the
could be.
crash
Probably.
standards and
Yeah.
things like that.
well, that's the problem. You know, the old Honda Civics in the 70s were getting 50, 60 miles an hour back, or 50 miles a gallon in the 70s. But if you walked into it, the thing would collapse, you know, and that's the problem. You put so much safety into the car, you've raised the weight of the car so much, the efficiency has gone down, you know, the whole. So sooner or later, you're going to have to start making some serious judgments as to, is there a greater balance here? Which the problem is, if you're driving a Civic and run into a Hummer, you don't want to hear that conversation.
We only have about 4 minutes left, and I was thinking about, what about the Prince George's County, and what about the leadership in Prince George's County across the board, from the county executive, the county council, the school board, and on, even the WSSC, on and on. It seems to be malfunctioning all across the board. Is there any solution, or is there anything you can do to stop the hemorrhaging? The soccer stadium, for example, the chairman of the council said it was obviously for the soccer stadium. People showed up, were going to talk against it, and she, being the chairperson, she shut down the agenda,
So I'm gonna
shooed
go home.
everybody home, and she took
If
her
I
book.
did that in this community, they would roast me. I'd be run out of town on a rail. Imagine scheduling a meeting, having a couple hundred people show up and say, I don't think I want to do this, and then shut the meeting off.
Well,
yeah.
what's going to happen? Is
We're going to have another election is
I
what's
think,
going to
And
happen.
and the
most
election
important-
could help?
yeah.
Well-
the most important component here is the calendar.
I've never been a fan of term limits, but I think maybe term limits will help us through some of these issues.
Well, you figure the county executive's term limited, 7 of the
Council.
existing 9 council will be term limited out. There's an incredible, you know, I guess, anti-incumbent thing bubbling around you know, it's the same thing. Whoever's in charge when the ship starts to sink is going to be held accountable.
But who is going to replace those people that are going bye-bye? Does the Democratic Party, for example, do they have anybody that they're grooming to run these run for county executive?
Oh, I guess there's 8 or 10 of them there.
I don't know anybody is being groomed to do it, but
Who's
there are a
out
number
front?
of people
I
mentioned.
mean, if you look at the finance reports from last year, the 3 that raised the most money are the sheriff, Michael Jackson, the state's attorney, Glenn Ivey, and former delegation chair, Rashawn Baker. The 3 of them raised significant amounts of money, or have significant amounts of money on hand. And I think only Baker has actually announced that he's running, but all 3 are acting like candidates for county executive. And all 3 are very good,
They would be
credible
Credible
candidates.
candidates.
Either one would be a great candidate, I think.
And then, like I say, there's 7 county council people that are going to be unemployed. So I imagine several of them will jump in the race. And there's probably people that we're not even thinking about now that are going to jump in the race. I mean, you can always get your old buddy Wayne Curry jump in the race again. I don't think that'll happen, but you know, the possibilities are just huge.
Well, one of the 3 top money guys, Michael Jackson and Glenn Ivey, and then of course Rashawn. Glenn Ivey, I don't think has been having a starring role as the attorney for the county. And in fact, I think that he's really missed so many things he was to be involved in that he said, we're not going to there's no solution to this, but we're going to form a committee. And of course, the sheriff he's had a couple of hits that he took on this Berwin
They've had a couple of
mayor's
unfortunate PR situations. Mr. Ivey, I think, has had some interesting challenges, more from his staff, I think, probably so much than him. But there's been some incredibly high-profile cases that generated some judicial hostility about the manner in which they were prepared and presented and whatever that. And then the case that's still floating around down there is the death that occurred in the county detention center, you know, months and months ago, that was supposed to be presented to the last grand jury that wasn't completed, was given to the new
Still
grand
no
jury,
indictment.
and there's challenges there.
So those, well, we'll have to save that for another time. We're running out of time here tonight, but those questions, I'm sure, in the minds of every person that lives in the county, and they're wondering about, you cannot fail to realize that the county is really failing and needs a transition where they can go back, where at least they could become efficient leaders. So that's it for this evening, and thank you all very much for being here.
Even the mean guy.
I decided that he was kidding both you
I love
and
the guy.
Lynn.
The guy's the best,
and
probably
I
the best
think
lobbyist the city's ever used.
he did a good job kidding you people. I think that's great.
Yeah. I'm
So
a big
that's
fan of
it.
both of my lawyer friends here.
Well, Lynn can take care of you when it comes to wills and estates and getting you a lunch with Francho.